Welcome to the Wealth Transfer News, where global economics, biblical principles, and protecting and preserving your family, ministry, and business.
Thank you.
I'm Terry Sacka, Chief Strategist, along with Dr. Charles Vance, and we're going to continue where we left off, explaining the situation with banking rules you may not know. We're going to recap and get into some more details, so stay tuned. This is going to be a wonderful program.
Terry, we've had this up behind us for, Stephen just switched over.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. It's been almost 2 months now. The end of the dollar. We're not really talking about the demise or the complete annihilation of the dollar as we know it, but certainly the way that
superiority, control. Well, if you notice what's behind it, that's China and Russia, and we're trying to show that we are being attacked, and severely. It's a matter of time. That's why, if you wonder why you keep hearing things like we need to go to war with Russia, we're going to war with Russia. Why do you think they're pushing that narrative? And yeah, they want to make a bunch of money off the war, because I believe, my opinion only, that they're going to try to use the war to get ahead of the financial collapse by having war and then blaming Russia on the war causing the financial collapse. So either way, the Western world is in serious financial trouble. China is really, really struggling on their whole shadow banking system. Nothing is straight. I don't see how even policy changes. God bless President Trump. He's going to have his hands full. He's walking into a hornet's nest. And, he even has the left-wing socialist nutcase kids with no job protesting all over the country. And then he has establishment neocon types on the other side. So he's going to have a tremendously difficult time because the George Soros socialist revolution and the Clintons in their little purple revolution are not going away. They want a socialist overthrow. And it's going to take a massive crackdown. I can only pray and hope that the police get extraordinary authorities to crack down. And you do that stuff, you go to jail. You make a Twitter threat, you're going to jail. And I hope they all start going to jail. And it wouldn't be so bad if George Soros went too. But I know he's going to try not to be divisive. But you know what? I could just pray Mr. Trump does exactly what he has to do to make America great, and we can only go with that. So,
we talked last week about the banking system a bunch, played 4 videos, little short video clips that we didn't produce. They've been independently produced.
Yeah, Public Banking Institute.
Yeah, so we're seeing things that is not just an opinion that we have.
Oh, no, they know the truth. That's the whole point. Yes,
yes. And we ended up last week with
the confiscation in the FDIC.
Yeah, and that's just... it's near bizarre. I guess we should watch it and maybe then comment after people see it.
There's no doubt. I know people they don't believe it. And one thing we've had is people have asked, we would love, they wish they could watch it again, but you can. You can go to wealthtransfernews.com, even at cornerstoneassetmetals.com, cornerstoneassetmetals.com, and Wealth Transfer TV. You can see those programs and you can go back and watch them. They have its own separate YouTube channel. So you can go back and do that, and one day in the future, maybe we'll have like a private subscription base where they can even download the charting and imagery too. So, there are some ideas, but, we're here for you. So, go Wealth Transfer News. You can even download the app on your smartphone, tablet. You could listen and watch in, and I would encourage if you want to do that. Now, the derivatives is an important thing.
Can we say again, I feel like it's really important for us to say this. We're not trying to scare people. You can't make proper decisions without right information.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people would just bury their head in the sand. They wouldn't pay attention to the information that is truth, facts. And we're trying to bring you facts so that you can make the right information. You can make the right decisions. I use this illustration, Terry. If I'm driving down the interstate and somebody's out in the road waving to me and saying the bridge is out a half mile down the road, I want them to tell me that. I don't want to say, I'm not believing the bridge is out. I'm going to just keep driving. That's their opinion, that the bridge is out. And there's a lot of times I want somebody to stop me. I don't want to say, well, you're trying to judge me. I'm driving too fast, or I'm doing my own thing, and that's none of your business. That's not what we're here trying to do. We just want to give you the right information so you can make correct decisions.
Well,
that's
and if we're coming from a biblical point of view as well, we shouldn't be shy about it. It's known as watchmen. Watch, and not in the weird religious sect cult aspect. We're watchmen, meaning we are here to holler to you, to tell you there's something wrong, really wrong. Do what you need to protect yourselves. Get preservation done. It's not about the win. I talk to really intelligent people. I have good friends, intelligent financial advisors, extremely successful. And they say, I'm not exactly sure if I agree with everything you say, but I find what you say extremely intriguing. And I know they know what I'm saying has some basis of truth, but it's just so deep that they don't know how to grab it. But I can tell they're interested. Now, these are really smart, high-level financial people. And the one thing I really take to heart is he said, I guess the one question is, when? Just like in 2008, we knew something was wrong, but when? Well, we don't know exactly when, but I can tell you this. All global financial indicators are red. Now, can it just be a mild recession we move on? I'm not so sure. Even Baltic Dry Index, which is where goods shipping from China all around the world in ships and cargo ships, it's literally like zero. We even had a time frame there when nothing was moving in the ocean. There's a problem. Now, what we don't seem to understand, well, if there really is this problem, why don't we see it? Well, let's replay that video and you'll find out.
You think that the FDIC
last one, yes,
will still come riding to the rescue? Consider these facts. This chart will look at three figures: the FDIC insurance fund balance, the total deposits in U.S. banks, and the total derivatives exposure of the big banks. The FDIC has approximately $25 billion in its fund to cover losses. The total deposits in U.S. banks totals $9,283 billion. The U.S. bank's derivatives total is $297,514 billion. The FDIC could only cover 0.25% of all deposits, and the FDIC could only cover 0.008% of the derivatives.
Looking at the FDIC Bank of England joint paper summary, the text clearly says that in the U.S., they will use the powers granted under the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act, and losses will be assigned to shareholders and unsecured creditors. Remember that as a depositor in a bank, under the law, you are an unsecured creditor. Moving further on down in this document, the text clearly says that the strategy for a failed global systemically important financial institution will be to assign losses to shareholders and unsecured creditors. Going further down the same document, you will see that the text clearly says that a resolution strategy for a failed globally systemically important financial institution will be to assign the losses to shareholders and unsecured creditors. Remember that you are now looking at an official government document and the plans for confiscation.
Here's something important, Charles, right there. I know people, sometimes they say, oh, well, listen to these guys, blowing smoke, trying to scare. I know, that's why you try to caveat that. Those documents right there that gentleman was outlining, those are government law documents. That's the Dodd-Frank that our wonderful, wonderful going out President Barack Hussein Obama and Democrats crafted. So thank God that we're going to have a scorched earth policy, and the only thing he'll be known for is probably legalizing pot. But beyond that, that was a horrific financial law, because they designed that to stick it to the people.
Who is Dodd-Frank?
Well, you know what?
People.
Yeah, here's the scary part. Dodd-Frank, they were two senators, and Frank was that nutcase progressive liberal comedian from Minnesota. You ever notice Minnesota? They're ticking over there, man. They got more liberal issues in Minnesota and have some great conservative clients from Minnesota, but they're surrounded by a pool of fish that are ready to jump out of the water. And Frank was one of the senators. These people, hopefully this is the right Frank. There might be another Frank, I don't know, but it's okay.
These guys have ties, obviously, to the Federal Reserve banking system, or they wouldn't be making laws like this.
These laws were written, the Democrats, when they had all that power back then, they came in with this stuff and they had it ready to roll. There were lawyers, special interest lawyers who wrote that law.
All of this stuff is going back to socialism. I mean, that's where this pulls us back to. And people really don't realize that socialism is when the government begins to take over all of our rights.
Yeah, because did you see the details of that video? Not only did they craft the law for you to pay back the banks, how is it our fault that the banks do something wrong, right? But we were the ones to pay back the banks. We were the ones to get confiscated. Mm-hmm. And not only that, did you notice the FDIC? You notice the numbers on that?
See, that's just bizarre to me.
I know, that really hits you.
25%, a quarter of a penny per every dollar that is on deposit. That's their
insurance.
Did you hear that? That's their insurance base.
Quarter of a penny.
Of a penny for every dollar that you have on deposit. And the FDIC is actually owned and operated by the Federal Reserve banking system.
I'm telling you, it's a cabal above cabals.
It's crazy.
It is.
And then the derivative number was at 0.008%.
Yes.
It was that's in the hundreds of a penny, isn't it?
Yeah. Now what they're trying
thousands of a penny.
Those who object, Charles, were just merely trying to say, listen, these derivatives are not going to blow up. They're not all going bad. And so this is just hype. Really? If a fraction of those derivatives go bad, it's all it takes.
Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there to cover.
Yeah. This is a Keynesian economic model that's failing. And you know who Keynesian, back in the day, Keynesian who designed this economic model that they took hold of, he was a socialist. And so
would have had to have been.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no question.
Because we're going to get into this a little later on in a couple of weeks, but Keynesian economics was about debt, and spend. Very unbiblical philosophy. So this isn't something that has just started. This has been in the works for a while. I know Charles wanted to replay that because the numbers are extraordinary. And we can't fathom the fact that it can take 99 years to pay you back.
Yeah,
There's not enough money there.
You need to say that again because that's part of the bylaws you said of the FDIC.
99 years to pay you back if they do end up paying you back. Bottom line is, here's what we're having. Here's the issue. Maybe there's a bank here, a bank there that goes down. Now, it happened in 2008, so this isn't a surprise. Wachovia Bank went down. We can go on and on. Washington Mutual, Wachovia. We can list the banks that disappeared in 2008.
And
this was part of it.
People have forgotten the savings and loan collapse in the 80s because it's over. And for the new generation, they've never heard about it. The news certainly doesn't say, look, it's possible we could go back into something as tragic as this. But the fact is we could.
We could.
But nobody talks about it.
No, they don't talk about it because they don't want to, right? But the point is, it is that serious. It always has happened. You're just gambling that the bank you're with, it won't happen to. Okay, fine. I get the risk taking. Are you willing to do it with everything you have? And that's a brokerage firm too, mind you. Are you really, really that confident that it's not going to happen? I would be highly educated on the subject, understand what's happening to the dollar, get an education. Now, don't do it right now. Don't register right now. Stay with the program. But afterwards, register for information. Give Cornerstone a call. Get diversified and get information. It's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at cornerstoneassetmetals.com or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309. At Cornerstone, securing your future is our goal.
Now, what I'd like to do is outline, and we talk a lot about the derivative mess, and it's obviously very important because it is part of the derivatives that are unravel this Western financial system. And when we showed the chart just the other week that where the derivatives started after 9/11, it exploded. It went from like 80, I think it was like 80 trillion to over 700 trillion. So Wall Street and the one percenters have been getting extremely wealthy on creating all this fake financial instrument stuff to make money on. They were creating money out of thin air. Remember, a bank just makes money out of thin air by lending out money they don't have. And so derivatives are vital because I do believe when the system in the Western world does collapse, it is going to be done by a derivative situation. And being that derivatives are exponentially more since 9/11, exponentially over 1,000%. Actually, it's almost now 1,500% more. That is the cause for concern. So you see, it's this type of data that you can't debate, but you can debate the when. Many people think it can keep going. I'm just saying you can only go up so high before something comes down. So look at this image that I want to outline here. It's kind of a geometric thing. I love this. This is known as a derivative square, 15 times the world GDP. Now, the big box you see is literally a box of derivative. Now, in this equation, they do have it at about 1.1 quadrillion. Now, I know, what's a quadrillion? Well, it's 999 trillion. There you go.
It's 1,000 trillion, isn't it?
I'm telling you,
huh?
Yeah, well, 1,000, yeah.
1,000 trillion.
Right, but it's, yeah.
People can't comprehend, can't comprehend a trillion,
Here it is. So you got the derivatives at a quadrillion. Now, if you look in the bottom left there, that golden box, all the gold ever produced since God put it on the earth, $9 trillion worth. If you look at the little tiny box on the right, gold held by central banks, only 1.6 trillion. Now remember, gold is the collateral they use in order to print money. So you're seeing central banks only hold 1.6 trillion really in assets that back up $1 quadrillion of fake investments. You could take that off. Thank you, Stephen. And that doesn't make you nervous? Think about that. They don't have anything to back up this scheme of finance. Now, hardest part, I know, I hear it all the time. Nobody wants to deal with this. Charles says it a lot. As long as you're going to dinner, you're going to the movies, you're happy. I'm just trying to say, you know, I sure would. It's almost like an earthquake. I've been in them before. You just wake up out of nowhere and your house is shaking and things are falling off your shelf. I used to live in Southern California. Well, if I was prepared, I'm not so nervous. But if I had no preparation at all and the big one hit, I would have a real tough time with my family. So, you see, preparation is huge. And financial preparation under these conditions is enormous. Because if the kingdom loses its assets, what are we going to do? So that image is so profound of how phony the global financial system is. That's why I know a reckoning is coming. I don't care if it's 1 or 2, 3 more years. We don't know, though. It can happen at any moment, and we've outlined the banks in Europe and what's going on.
So the key to that preparation, again, and I feel like it's necessary to keep mentioning this, because I've actually, when I explain these things to people, people say, well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, that's their question. Like they are like bewildered as to what they should do. You should invest in something that's tangible. You've mentioned land.
But land's not liquid.
And it's not liquid. It's not, because I've had properties that I've had for sale for a lot longer than I'd like to have them for sale. It's location, but it's also a buyer. You have to have a buyer, and it's a large...
And credit.
And credit.
Because most people don't have cash to buy.
Gold is something great that you could have, but it is so expensive that the average person doesn't feel like they can buy enough of it to really do anything with. Yeah. Silver, on the other hand, you can buy a silver coin like this. Going rate is reasonable that anybody could buy one.
Well, and the better part, Charles, gold from here going back to the high is probably a, let's see, maybe a 50% return from here. From here, silver going back to the high, which I contend is definitely going to happen eventually, is 200% return. So if we, the people, are looking for if we're looking for something, why in God's name would you not have that? Now, and think about this. Silver is First Amendment, well, ours is First Amendment protected because it's a full-on Judeo-Christian religious coin.
You can see right behind Terry.
Oh yeah, that coin there.
You can see that coin.
Yeah, right
you see both of them? Yeah, you can almost see. You can see
it's
the
beautiful,
front and the back
but because it's a 4.9 purity, technology-grade purity, 100% Judeo-Christian silver coin. It offers you First Amendment protection, so it's not bullion. It actually has in the depository for the IRAs, it has its own coding, its own shelving, because it's hallmarked with a global exchange hallmarking that makes a good bank delivery around the world. Now, believe me, that was God blessed to even get, but it's true. So the thing is, the silver is First Amendment protected, and it's constitutional money. Article 1, Section 8, Congress has a right to coin money. Well, here's the important thing. Money was always defined as grains of silver. We, the people, should have always been storing silver in a vault versus cash in a bank. And there is no comparison. You always were financially superior, better off with silver in the vault. Now, I hear the stories, oh, well, you buy it and the price goes down. Oh, really? And your buying power in the dollar hasn't dropped? It's all just, it's an ignorant statement because the system has brainwashed us. But storing silver in a vault is superior because it's not under any of the FDIC banking rules. And anytime you need money, you just sell the silver. That's where Cornerstone comes in.
We like even storing silver in our home vault.
Yes.
That's what we do.
We have people burying it in their backyard.
Whatever you want to do with it so that it's easy accessible. You go back to Egypt, and a portion of the promo, Joseph was so brilliant when it came to storing up food and then selling food, and his selling of food ended up being something that people came in and they spent silver for it.
I'll take that. I'll do this. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Silver has been money biblically all through time. Job 27 says that the rich will pile up silver like dust, but in the end, it'll be distributed to the innocent. Now, think about that for a minute. Silver is our money. Always was. But the rich have gotten away from it, and they store this, which is fake. This was always money in the Bible. So the rich are storing up this. And the reason I think at the end of Job 27, it says, then it will be distributed to the innocent, which I believe are the Christians. Because when the system collapses, that is a dishonest weight and measure, God's money will prevail. And the wealth will be distributed, because when this goes down, this goes up.
And you can buy anything
Your
with
retirement is sustained at that point.
You can trade anything for it.
Yes.
I've seen some of the prepper shows, which we're not preppers, I don't think, in that sense by any means.
Not extreme anyway.
We do prepare.
Oh, I'm definitely an advocate of owning guns and ammunition,
and food.
And I'd like to stress that.
And some food.
You know what's exciting?
Silver.
We don't even have to worry about anymore anyway to this day. We don't have to worry about the mass confiscation of weapons that was coming under Clinton's. We don't have to worry about so many things. Oh, thank God we got rid of them. I tell you what.
But back to my point before you start ranting. Back to my point is that I've seen prepper shows where people will actually trade this for anything that they want.
Matter of fact, in Idaho and a few other states, they've already declared that this is money.
Is that right?
And yeah, you can use it.
You can use it.
Yeah, what they do is just calculate grains of how many grams it is, and the store gives you a credit.
Wow,
but there are places doing it already. So, let me leave with this for this program, because a lot of folks, they think everything's okay. We do. Everything's doing all right. It seems that's what the media is telling you. If anything we've learned in this last election cycle is how abjectly dishonest the media is towards the socialists. So be very cautious, listen to anything they say. That's why wealth transfer is here. But look at the trading floor before the 2008 market collapse. This was UBS trading floor, largest trading floor in the world. Look at the enormous amount of Wall Street traders that were in there moving money around the world. Extraordinary, extraordinary view. Now, that was pre-2008 when everything was rolling. Now, look what happens after the fact. This is after the 2008 market collapse. This is the trading floor today. Isn't that extraordinary?
It's amazing difference.
If you think we've gotten better, not even close. They're just faking it right now at the central bank level to try to figure out how they're going to do this. I personally think they're doing everything they can to push this to. They need a war. They need something. Wait till you see the data we're going to show you. Maybe next week, we're going to show you how we know something's coming. If you look at the charts going all the way back to the 1800s, and only a few times in history have we seen certain spikes. Great Depression, World War II, World War I. It's fascinating, fascinating stuff to see. And I just know that we're at the same epic point in history where our debt is just, it's almost comically unreasonable, and it has to be reckoned with. Something has to happen, and I believe it's not just a recession. I believe it's something far larger, and I think it's going to hurt tremendously if we're not protected. But if we are protected, what a God-blessed wealth transfer that we can come out of and take it to the next level for Jesus Christ. So God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Do it for the long term. Don't do it for a short term. Do it for the long term, and do it for your family, for your business, for your church. We're going to be back next week, same place and same time. I hope you'll tell somebody about wealth transfer. You can join us on wealthtransfernews.com as well. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.